I guess it's always hard to come after Rukmini and Madhav. So especially after a message of this much gravity has been delivered, what do you say? If you were to say something which, I want to just pick up what Madhav said, which is that we can't afford to be too negative about these outcomes. Because at some level, this is bad news, but it's bad news that we just can't we can't allow it to paralyze us. And on the whole, my sense is that there's no reason. What the work we've been doing with Pratham, a lot of it, with other organizations all over India, I think the one absolutely clear message that comes across is that if you actually try to solve the problems that are, I think, behind this kind of performance, then it's not actually that hard, at least to make a fair amount of progress. And this we've seen in many, many places. What the work we do in the Poverty Action Lab is run large-scale experiments where some schools or villages or areas are chosen by lottery to get an intervention, and others not. The interventions we've been studying, starting almost 15 years ago, working with Pratham, have been extremely they've always had the same pattern. They're very, very simple interventions. Somebody gets, you take some children in a class who can't read, you assign them to someone who can help them a little bit, either in school or after school, but that person does not have a Harvard degree. That person is someone who, in most cases, has a high school degree and is paid either nothing or 1,000 rupees or something like that. And with that, you get massive gains in learning. And that's a pattern we've seen time and again. We've seen it in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Bihar, UP, I can't remember, other states as well. So it's a pattern that keeps coming back, which is very easy to improve learning. We don't do it. And it's what I think, and Lance will probably have something to say about this, why we don't do it. But I want to put it first fact I want to put on the table is that there's no evidence that it's because these kids are unteachable or we have to fix some other problem in the system. The problem is right there in front of us. We can fix it. We know how to fix it. We don't do it. The problem is, and the fix is very simple. Most of these kids, I think, most of the system, I would say, is subject to what I call the tyranny of the syllabus. The point of the education system, and you ask teachers, they'll say that, why are you teaching this way? Well, I have to cover the syllabus. Why is that child looking the other way and you're not doing something about it? Well, I have to cover the syllabus. That's the answer that keeps coming back. And I think that answer says something very important, which is that there is something there is the covering the syllabus as against teaching the children. And that particular opposition means that basically whenever, on day 3 you teach a, ka, ka, and the child doesn't get a, ka, ka, then you go on to cha, cha, ja, and you have forgotten that the 90% of the children missed the first lesson, and now it's up to them. And most of them come from our first-generation learners or learners from families where there's not a very strong tradition of education, so it's not that they're going to learn at home. So basically that means from day 3, they're falling behind. By 1 year, they've fallen way behind. But nothing stops for that. The entire system continues unheeding at that point. There is no reason, apparently within the system, to say, well, look at these results. 80% of the children can't read, but we are teaching them second-grade texts now where we assume that you can read. And soon we'll teach them third-grade texts, which assume you can read more. And then we'll teach them social studies, which assume that you can read even more. And it's entirely it seems entirely irrelevant to that conversation that these kids can't read, they can't do 16 plus 12, but we're going to teach them science, we're going to teach them social studies. What happens as a result? Kids drop out eventually. Why? Because it's a nightmare to be in school when it's like watching a movie with without subtitles in a language you don't know. You know, people are teaching you stuff. You have no idea what it is. You sit there, you look out of the window, one day you drop out. This is an entirely well understood and predictable pattern, and it's exactly because of this pattern that we see the fact that when you actually go to a child and say, what would you like to learn, or what don't you know? Let me teach you that. Then the children learn very fast. So every time there's an intervention where the child is the focus, the child's learning, child is taught where she is, there is no evidence that she can't be taught. In fact, all the evidence says she can be easily brought much further. You can bring children up to a grade level. If 1 year of this brings children basically they cover one grade level in that process. So it's not hard to get this done. It just is a matter of deciding that that's what you want to do. So I could go on, but I think you heard my main spiel, which is that I think that we have, in a sense, a simple problem. Simple problem which we are not solving right now. We are doing all kinds of things. We are building latrines in schools. Children are moving to private schools. Look at the ASER results on private schools, by the way. Many states, they look no better. And that's very, very striking. Despite the fact that children are moving to private schools, private school results don't look any better. And that's striking. That's consistent with much other evidence we've found. Why is that happening? Well, private schools are doing the same thing. They're teaching the syllabus. Indeed, the right to education law requires that they teach the syllabus. So everybody is teaching the syllabus. The syllabus, to the exclusion of learning, is, I think, the way one should think about it. So I think we both know the diagnosis and we know the solution. It's just a matter of deciding that that's what we want to do. We want to teach children and not the syllabus. Thank you.